Gosh, I don't even know where to start. I feel like I could talk for hours. Well, I guess in a way, like many people, have lost and gained a ton of weight. And every time, I've lost over 100 pounds before and kept it off even for a year. And a part of that was doing your program, actually. And what happened, I realized now, make a long story short, I didn't really stick in contact with anybody or the community. So when I started to go backwards, I didn't tell anybody. I just did it in like secret. And because I was too ashamed to tell anybody what I was doing, because I was doing so well and so many people knew I was doing so well, and I was just completely embarrassed to even show my face anywhere because I knew I was gaining weight slowly back. So I wanted to come here and get coaching because I know back then too, I felt like even when I was really skinny, I thought I was fat. You know, I was like always hating myself, and I realized after I gained my weight back that I wasn't even going to try again until I knew I loved myself, even if I stayed this way forever. That was my goal, is if I never lost another pound, it's okay. I'd be happy. I'd just live my life. So, but I want to lose weight. I want to be healthy. So I knew coming here and just connecting with people and getting people's phone numbers, just trying to make sure I connect. And then I've wanted to coach with both of you guys, I know, many, many times. And I think a year ago I did an hour with JP, and I remember him telling me to get this picture of me as a kid and put it on a board and write things I'd want to say to myself as a kid. And I remember bawling the whole time I was doing it, crying, thinking, this is crazy, this is stupid, you know, why am I crying? But then I still have it to this day. So, and the funny thing is I could only find one picture of me as a child, and it was the only one I had. So I don't know, it was just, I don't know, I just know, and then after hearing people's testimonies and stuff, I know I have to do this. I mean, it's like there's no other choice, you know, so that's why I'm up here. So.
Yay! And you deserve a big hand, because first of all, I think instead of feeling, I don't want to tell you how to feel. You can feel ashamed that you gained weight back, but you can also feel very proud that you're here. And you know, I got 2 words for you. Heather Goodwin, you know her?
Oh yeah, I follow her.
Do you know she gained a lot of weight back at one point?
Right.
Like a lot, and she felt the same way, and she hid. And you know, addiction only can exist in the shadows, and so hiding is the worst thing you can do, and that's why we have the group. Because if we could do it alone, and there are a couple people that can. My sister did. She's a real bitch. And, no, oh God, she's on the feed. Oh shit. Can that be edited? Oh God, if she's, I'm just kidding. Well, anyway, the point being is, I knew one day that this was going to get me in trouble. It's going to get me shot, probably. The 2 pit bulls that I saw early this morning, let me tell you about that, but that's another story. So anyway, what was I talking about? I had a good one. Oh yeah, most people can't do it alone. Because if we could have done it alone without the support of a group or a coach, you know, ABC, accountability buddy coach, we would have done it alone. And you know, it may look like I did it alone because there was no ultimate weight loss program, but I had like 3 of the best coaches in the world: McDougall, Lyle, Goldhammer. You know, so don't ever be ashamed for. To me, the only shame, if there is shame or failure, is giving up. That's the only time I would say that.
Thank you. And I think one of the most important things is you have to look, no matter how many coaches you have, and you can have the best. I work with some of the people who are literally billionaires. They have the best resources in the entire world, but they don't love themselves, and they don't value themselves, and their self-esteem is non-existent. So until you really love yourself, then it's almost like kind of futile, because you can lose the 100 pounds, but those tapes will keep playing in your brain, right? It's like when people lose 200 pounds and they look in the mirror and they still think they're 300 or 400 pounds.
Yeah.
So it's a slow process. It's like going to therapy. Some people just get this aha moment and they change their life, but for most of us, it's a slow process, because the day you're born, your computer up here is blank. But by the time you're 40, you've had 40 years of programming. 40 years. And most of that programming is very negative. So you just don't get one session with the guru or the therapist and everything's okay. It takes time to reprogram yourself and to fall back in love with yourself. And I do think that, like when we talked before, I think it's important to start thinking about if you had a child, would you allow your child to make the same choices that you have? And so that's one of the things you want to keep in mind with what the actions you're taking, because if you had a child that your physician said, hey, look, if she gains any more weight, she's going to drop dead, you would do everything in your power to make sure that child was as healthy as could be. And so again, you have to have that same love you would have for your child as you will for yourself. But that does take time. But in the meantime, you need to apply all the UWL principles, because those are like roadblocks. Everything that we do, the roadblocks. You know, I worked with an alcoholic once. They just could not stop drinking. And I did lots of things for them. For one of the things I did, though, is I put a massive roadblock in. I said, you know what? I don't even care if you continue drinking. And he's like, what are you talking about? I said, nah. I said, it's serving you somehow. I said, but I just want you to do me a favor. When you leave work, I know you go to a tavern. And what I want you to do now is I just don't want you to bring your credit card or any money to you with work. So nothing, just your wallet with your driver's license. And then what I want you to do is go home first, see your kids and wife, and then you can go to the tavern. About every 3 weeks, he'd give me a text and say, haven't drank. 6 weeks, haven't drank. 2 months, haven't drank. A year later, 1 year sobriety. Now, I did many things for him, but I put roadblocks in his life to prevent that, because sometimes that's what you need. So following the UWL principles and having sanitizing your environment and clean, that's the roadblocks. And as you're doing that, all you're doing those things, we're still doing programs to teach you about self-love. We're having you read things, we're having introspection, we're talking to you, we're trying to help you reframe some of the things that maybe occurred as a child, and maybe we can reframe them so they're not so traumatic to you. That make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned that you still thought you were fat after losing 100 pounds. That is very common, and if there's time, that was a question for Dr. Lau, because I know that it's been 7 years for me, almost 8, and I don't know if Shada felt this way, but it wasn't until about 3 years ago that I'm like, oh, I'm thin. And it really, what the mirror lies, and so what it took is seeing pictures, not seeing myself in the mirror, but then I saw some pictures, and I'm like, oh wow, I am thin. You know, and then Charles like bumped into me and like my hip bone hurt. He goes, God, you're so thin. And I'm like, really? Like, I think it takes time. And ladies, and those of you, Angela, Shada, did you have that experience? It took a few years.
2 years.
2 years for her, Shada?
Oh yeah, it took a long time.
Tammy? You know,
I still think.
you should tell her Tammy she'll think she's fat, so she'll be up here next year for coaching. Okay, so, but what I'm trying to say is I don't think that's so unique. I hear from it from most people that it can take a couple years for your brain to catch up. So don't worry about that. But that's why I think photos are great. You know, even when you're heavy, because then you see yourself going down. Do you think that if I remember correctly, your environment isn't clean?
Right. My husband is not on board. He's definitely a meat and potato guy. He doesn't, even when I lost 100 pounds, I mean, he would look at my food and say, it smells good, but I don't want it. You know, I've tried to get him to watch the movies, and he flat out told me he don't want to watch them because he doesn't want to know. You know, so it's like, he's okay with me doing it. He's not going to be like, hey, I don't want you to do that. But he's kind of like, I think something you said earlier, he thinks I should still be able to do it and him eat whatever food he wants right next to me and be okay with it. Like if he had ice cream or chocolate or something, you know, if he's eating a big donut, he thinks I should be able to eat, you know, my oatmeal and be fine with that.
That's why the group that we had would have been the perfect, you know, thing for him. Because what sounds like what you need is he needs education. And whether that comes from maybe a session with JP or a session with Dr. Lyle, because I think, you know, I know that Tom Kramer he spoke about this a few years ago at Ultimate Weight Loss, how when Tammy, you know, basically told him that, you know, admitted that she has suffered with food addiction, like he maybe didn't really understand it at first, but he's like, but he still complied, and actually he ended up losing more weight too by just moving his nuts out to the garage, things like that. You know, what I want to say is,
That sounded funny.
See, I was not even intentionally trying, but what I mean is like, you know, I used to offer to Skype for free to people in your situation, but I found for me, it wasn't useful. They never did what I said, but now we have people that can do it. I'm more Goldhammer, he's more Lyle, so, but I think that if you could give yourself the gift of a clean environment and negotiate it, even if it's for like a month, my feeling is see if it makes a difference. You know, if it doesn't, just like I tell people, just try this diet for 3 weeks. If it doesn't make a difference, you can always go back. Because while I do think self-love is important, if I could get you to true north of the fasting escape right now, you would lose weight whether you loved yourself or not. And that's how important the environment is. Not that the self-love isn't important, but self-love in a dirty environment is, I don't think it's gonna facilitate the kind of success that we know you're capable of. And here's the other thing. You know you can do it because you did it. See, let me tell you something. You have to remember this, like Morgan, you're taping this, right? Okay, I don't know everyone in this room, but there are people in this room that have been overweight or obese their whole life and have never not been. You know what it's like. You have done it. So you know that it's possible. And if you did it once, I believe you can do it again. You gotta remember that. And you repeat, you know, they say that the secret of success is executing the basics but better than anybody else. You know the basics, you're not doing them, you have some roadblocks, but the fact, do you have a picture of yourself when you were 100 pounds less?
Yeah, it's on my phone.
Okay, well good, so you have proof.
Right.
All right.
AJ, how does she get over the fear of failure though? Because she failed once, so she's afraid of
but
failing
it's not
again.
The fear of failure, so Dr. Lau talked about that on Friday, and I don't remember the question, but I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna be bumped up. You're gonna write that question exactly, make it short, because long ones is very big, but yes, we're gonna, unless you know the answer, how she's gonna deal with the fear of failure.
Well, the thing is that hypothetical failure because she was trying to lose weight.
But she gained the weight back, so she thinks she's failed, so she doesn't want to try again because she's gonna fail again.
You're trying to lose weight. Don't
Tell her,
anorexics
not me.
Anorexics lose weight really well, right? So I have clients that have bulimia and anorexia. They're great at weight loss. How are they up here? So it's not about losing weight, it's about getting healthier. And just one of the dozens of byproducts of getting healthier is weight loss. That's just one of them. So instead of focusing on weight loss, focus on getting healthier and having a calm, stable brain. That's far more important. Everybody here focuses on weight loss. It's really silly. It would be like just saying that all you want to do is have a diet that just has your teeth grow better and your bones grow better. It's like, how about just get healthier? All those things are going to happen naturally. And when you just focus on weight loss, that's something that your brain is only going to focus on weight loss. That's all you're thinking about all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not a healthy way it's not a good attitude to have is weight loss. I don't ever talk about weight loss, ever, ever, ever. I don't even want, if clients come to me and I've had celebrities come to me and they say, I've got X amount of months and they need to lose weight. I said, I don't do that. That's just not what I do because it's not healthy. Because what if we just we had liposuction and took 100 pounds off somebody, right? Now they're skinny, but did we change anything up here? So what got them to be heavy was what's up here, nothing changed. So if you're not changing what's up here, it doesn't matter. You change this first, and then this changes. You get healthier, your bones get stronger, blood pressure goes down, your heart gets healthier. So don't focus on weight loss. Focus on getting healthy and taking care of your inner self, just like you would your own child, being loving and kind to her.
And the other thing I'd suggest, if I remember correctly, you like Japanese sweet potatoes a lot. You can't always find them, but you like them.
Oh yeah, I love them.
Okay, so here's what I would suggest. Like, if Christy was my private client and she came to me and she was in this position right now, I wouldn't say, well, go do a fruit and vegetable day tomorrow. Eat your kale for breakfast. I would have her do a more flexible program. Now, by flexible, I don't mean not abstinent. There's a big difference between compliance and abstinence. And UWL is an abstinence-based program based on specifically sugar and flour, but sugar, oil, flour, alcohol, salt, but it's the sugar and flour primarily and alcohol because those are the addictive ones because sugar and flour goes through the same refinement process as drugs and alcohol. So if I was working with her one-on-one, I wouldn't make her eat vegetables for breakfast. I would tell her just eat what you love that is to the left of the red line. So if she loved Japanese sweet potatoes, I would say knock yourself out. Just eat them. Don't even worry about eating a damn fruit and vegetable. And that does not go from everybody else in the room. I'm talking to her in this situation because it's like Dr. Lyle talks about with the ego trap when they set the bar too high, they kick over the table and fail. but if I have a client that struggles because maybe they work like a lot of times with nurses especially, I volunteer at a hospital and on that 3-hour day, all I see is crap. Every nursing station, chocolate chip cookies, See's candy, you know, things like that. On the day that I go to the hospital, Tuesday from 1 to 4, I intentionally overeat, and what I mean by that is because I know I'm going to be seeing crap for 3 hours. And so what I do is I take a couple of pounds of either hand yams or Japanese, whatever I have, and then I air fry them. And then it's like I've eaten like 2 pounds of candy, in my opinion, and I'm so full that I'm able to resist it. So you can use some of the things that we teach, like the vision boards and the essential oils, but make yourself full with what you love. So that if your husband's sitting there eating a donut, you just had 2 pounds of Japanese sweet potatoes, you're gonna be mechanically full, you're gonna be satiated. And this is the advice I give to people around the holidays, because we know that many people, except for those who sign up for mastery, will slip at the holidays. And so the rule is before you indulge, you always eat something healthy first. And so just like we talked about with the accountability partner, if you could even just make it a rule that before I eat something unhealthy, I promise, me, JP, in the room, that I'm gonna eat something healthy first. But something healthy you love, not celery if you don't like celery. We're talking, this is the thing, starch. Starch is the key to satiety, and the people that I know that binge, that's why I worry about fruit and vegetable days for some people. It's always because of lack of starch. You will not get fat eating unprocessed starches without oil and salt and sugar. So knock yourself out on the starch you love, even if that means you have to order them online or fill your suitcase here with them, whatever you have to do to find something that you love in the realm of whole natural food, and eat that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And that could go for any of you in this situation, but not those that are, you know, not in that situation. So, well, cool. I think it would probably be, you guys probably need a little break, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay, so anything else though before we close? And
A lot of stuff.
well, we can still talk to you, and Gunther, we'll help you, we promise. And what we'll do is we'll have a 15-minute break now, and then get ready for the ride of your life. And let's hear it for Christy. It's hard to come up here. We're starting at 4:30. Thank you.
Edit that one, my sister watches.